How did the 1980s produce such incredible boxing talent? Imagine a time when boxing was full of energy, fierce rivalries, and legendary fighters pushing each other to new heights. The 1980s was that era, a golden age for the sport. So, how did this decade produce such a wave of incredible talent? Let's break it down. First, the fighters of the 1980s had a mix of natural ability and intense training. Many trained in tough gyms with coaches who demanded discipline and dedication. Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns, Marvin Hagler, and Roberto Duran all had different styles but shared a common drive to be the best. Their rivalries, especially Leonard versus Hearns, created a buzz that pushed everyone to improve. These fights weren't just about winning titles, but about personal pride and legacy. Second, the rivalries fueled the sport's excitement. The Leonard versus Hearns fight is a perfect example. It was a clash of styles, Leonard's speed against Hearns' power. Their battles drew huge crowds and kept boxing in the spotlight. These rivalries made fighters train harder because they knew they had to be at their best to beat each other. The competition was fierce and personal, which made every fight memorable. Third, the media played a big role. Boxing was still a major sport on television. Big networks broadcast fights regularly, giving fighters a chance to become household names. The exposure helped fighters build fan followings and attract sponsors. This visibility motivated fighters to stay in top shape and develop their skills further. Fourth, the decade saw fighters who could move across weight classes. Sugar Ray Leonard, for example, won titles in 5 different divisions. This versatility inspired others and showed that boxing was about more than just size. It was about skill, speed, and adaptability. These fighters set new standards for what could be achieved in the ring. Finally, the 1980s had champions in lighter weight classes as well. Julio Cesar Chavez and Azuma Nelson brought their own styles and fans. Their presence expanded boxing's reach globally. The mix of heavyweights and lighter fighters created a rich, competitive environment that kept the sport exciting. Looking at the history of boxing rivalries, the 1980s stand out because of the personal stories and epic battles. The Leonard versus Hearns rivalry is remembered as a classic example of two fighters pushing each other to the limit. Their fights showcase the best of boxing: speed, power, heart, and strategy. These rivalries made the sport more than just a contest. They turned it into a story of passion and perseverance. All these factors combined, hard work, fierce rivalries, media exposure, and versatility, created a perfect storm. The fighters of the 1980s set standards that still influence boxing today. Their stories reminded us that talent is born from a mix of natural skill, relentless effort, and the desire to be the best. That's how the 1980s produced such incredible boxing talent.